everybody. Welcome back to the Lavalais and Ella live show. I'm your host, Lavalais, and I'm glad to be back with you. My co-host, Ella, is not with me this evening, and she is headed over to England. So she will be back probably in 2 weeks. So we hope to have her back real soon. And I promise you that we will get back on schedule as soon as she rolls back in, or by next week's show. I think we will probably be a lot stronger in our presentation. So I see that we only have one person in the house tonight. So, and who may that be that's in the house with me this afternoon? Okay, can you let me know so that I can give you a shout out before I get into a little bit of that? Oh, it's Fern. Great to have you in the house, that's for sure. I've spent some time with you for the past couple of weeks. So I think that's a little bit about what I'm going to talk about tonight is a little bit about being out in California at the Pan-African Film Festival. So I'm going to, the show was a 12-day show. It ran from the 9th through the 20th. And Ella and I were both at the show. The show usually it's got a lot of local talent that presents work, and then you have a lot of us that come from very far away to do this particular show. And a little bit about the show is that the show is usually held at the Crenshaw Mall. It might still have that name as of today. It's Baldwin Hills area, so it's the Crenshaw Mall. And the mall has gone through several changes. I've been going to this show probably since the late 90s was the first time that I did the Pan-African Film Festival. And back then there was the art director was a lady by the name of Barbara, and Barbara was art director for probably the next 4 or 5 years, and she was very strict and very good talent. So that was the basis for that particular show. It was always showcased with really, really nice, talented artists. Pancho would go out there. Charles Bibbs was there. Woodrow Nash would be there. So you had big name artists that would come and show at that particular show. But over the years, there's just been so many changes with that particular venue per se. First, one of the main stores, like I think it was called Broadway. Yeah, I think it was the Macy's on one end and Broadway on the other end, but the first store closed. And then the replacement for that store was Walmart. Walmart moved in, so you had Macy's, Walmart, and Sears as big anchors of that particular mall. So following that, Walmart moved out. So that left a vacancy. And when we would be doing the show, you can imagine us with our artwork and people coming to Walmart. So that was really, that was kind of a problem too, because they were all looking for deals. And as an artist, you weren't about trying to, give deals. You really want to sell your work. So it was really a challenge. But then Walmart moved out. Okay. And so eventually I stopped going to the show. I hadn't been to the show in probably 6 years. The last event I was at was Black Panther, when they previewed the first Black Panther, and they previewed it at the theater at one of these shows. And it was really a good show. People came out, it was a nice show. But anyway, that was my last show. So going back this particular year with Ella said it was probably going to be a good show. She had joined us. I thought I go. So I joined in, and I came back to the show this year. Well, this year there is no Sears. Obviously, Sears is gone, so that's not a draw for anybody. The Macy's that was at the other end of the store has also decided to leave the mall. And so the mall has been in limbo in terms, well, it hasn't, from what I understand, that someone in the Black community tried to buy the mall, but they didn't sell the mall to the Black community, to the person of the Black community. They decided to sell the mall to somebody, I think a Russian or something like that, somebody who's going to really change the mall and the whole thing, because the fact that the whole area is changing. There's redensification going on in that same particular area of Los Angeles. So, hey, all right, there's Robin in the house. Glad to holler at you. I passed through Midland. I'm going to talk about that in a minute also, about my trip out and back. But anyway, and I hope you guys will stay with me through I'm going to show a little clip, a little video. I don't have any things to sell today. Like I said, Ella's not here to show any hats. So, and basically I got back home yesterday. So, and I felt it was smart to do the show today. So like I said, I'm just telling you a little bit about that particular show and going to Los Angeles. All right. So getting back to my story of the fact that the mall is just a dead mall, somewhat of a ghost town. I mean, they do have a TJ Maxx in there, so some of the community does come out for the TJ Maxx at the mall, and there's some other little smaller stores. But the Pan-African Film and Art Festival is it's an event that they hold every year, or except for the COVID years, they didn't have it, and it's been an ongoing tradition. But there's a real big problem in Los Angeles. It's that Los Angeles doesn't have a cultural significant population. You know, at the show, we really experience people that come all the way down from Oakland. You know, they flew in from Oakland, or they came from out in West Covina. But the cultural community of Los Angeles isn't that particularly strong. I mean, I'm saying that from my viewpoint. I see a lot of the same people that I've seen from over the years during that particular show. And when I say I've seen a lot of those people, I mean, it's the same people that buy from you year to year to year, and they keep coming back to the show, and you don't see a lot of new people that come to this particular show. So it makes it hard to do this particular show. And that's just from the standpoint of their publicity. But no matter, I don't think it would really matter very much. They do try and advertise. They get on the radio. They had a TV clip, or they had a Sunday thing in the newspaper. So it would seem like it would be a big event, but believe it or not, it just fizzles, and it's only supported by the same people over and over and over again. And I, from my standpoint, I wish all that would change, because I really do believe, and I have got to believe, and I would always want to believe, that there is a cultural community in Los Angeles, that it does exist somewhere. Because I remember back in the day, you had Ron Karenga, you had the Black Panther Party, you had all these significant things that were really all the black stars that lived in Baldwin Hills at the time because they couldn't live in Hollywood, but they lived in Baldwin Hills. When I was a photographer, I mean, I did a lot of the photographs of people that lived in that particular area. You know, so so I remember that being sort of a little epicenter of even Marvin Gaye lived, you know, in that area, and so it was just like, you know, everybody that was known in as a black artist was in that community. So you would think that that community would be real strong, but it's not. And so that particular portion of that particular show is really hard to overcome. And I would hope that the promoters would overcome some of those things. Another thing about the show is that it's a 12-day show. So people only wait until the last weekend to come out because some of them know that or assume that they're going to get a deal by coming on the last day, so that because you ain't going to want to take all your stuff back with you. And people actually say that to you. You know, it's like, why would you say that to me? You don't put any value in my work and the work that I do, that it's just like, oh, okay, I'm going to get it cheaper from you because you don't want to take it back home with you. You know, and so those are the kinds of things that happen at that particular show. And I'm really not trying to down it that particular much, but I can't say that particular much, but I'm really not trying to down the show. I'm just telling you my perspective on the show and what I saw and what I experienced at the show. You know, the situation with the promoters of the show is really a very hard one also. You don't see them. You see the art director maybe the first day or the second day. He comes around, he says, how you doing, what's up? And that's about it. You know, then again, you don't see him anymore. No one comes and volunteers for you. So you take a bathroom break, you got to make sure that the person next to you got covered. If you got to go get food, you have to make sure that somebody's going to cover you while you go downstairs, which is a very limited selection of food. I mean, you had the panda, you had some Mexican food and a pizza, and for 12 days, that's what you're expected to eat while you do this particular show. And you would think that the promoters would also be saying, well, hey, okay, I know you're here for 12 hours a day. Let me at least bring you some water. I mean, you would think that a show that you pay $1,600 to be into, that somebody would be willing to give you a bottle of water, that they would at least do that for you. If nothing else, you know, hey, come around and bring these people some water because they're sitting in their booths and they can't go anywhere because their goods are right there, so they can't leave. So at least give them some water. So, you know, I would think that they would have been doing that, but that wasn't even something that happened at this particular show. Now, I had a great time because I saw a lot of people that I haven't seen in a long time. You know, it was quite a good thing to see those people that have been buying my ear spears since the 90s. I mean, some of them, you know, they make telephone calls to other ones to let them know that I was there. You know, and people would come around or call me on the telephone. Are you here? Are you there? You know, or where are you? Because I wasn't in my regular location that I had been in for many years. Someone else was obviously in that location, so they changed me to another location, and people would have a hard time, even when they came to the mall, trying to find me. So maybe now is a good time to show you a little clip of one of the artists at the mall, because I did get a chance to, with the help of Fern, who's my host for this particular show. And I want to tell you guys, having a host um, makes all the difference in the world. So if you ever have an opportunity to host someone, an artist from out of town, and you're able to give them some shelter, and them not be able to have that expense of having to have a hotel and for it, that you would assume that would have been 14 days of living in a hotel, and so those expenses would have been put on top of everything else that you had. So if you're ever able to host someone, please host an artist if you're able to, okay? So Zeke, let's show the little clip of one of the artists that was at the Pan-African Film Festival, just to give us a little break, okay?
So his work is, as you can see,
I think your things are a little bit more ancestral in a sense, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So tell them a little bit about it, if you don't mind.
Well, my name is Boa. I'm from Nigeria originally. I've lived in California for more than 30 years now. Again, we're just talking about ancestral. My artwork is greatly influenced by my African culture and heritage. Some of my depiction of like the drips signifies the sacrificial of the cultural African heritage of sacrificing animal to appease the god. Again, I use also African motifs. I create multiple, I extract certain motifs and use to create multiple designs of patterns. Again, I try to incorporate some of the African culture, like the use of masks and faces. And some of my sculptures have, some of my inspiration for my sculpture is from the African sculptures.
Oh, okay. So that was one of the artists that was downstairs. Usually downstairs you have a little bit more of the fine art. And here's one of those pieces off the wall that I traded for. I'm very happy to, let me put it up the right way, because you can't tell. Yeah, I guess its name is there. But this is a piece of Moore's work. And I actually traded him for this particular piece. And so now I've brought it back home with me to go on my wall. And his pieces were, to me, very spiritual in a sense. He's been there over the years too, one of the artists that are downstairs. And they also had Woodrow Nash's work downstairs. They had some pottery. And like I said, they always bring in African artists who display their work. So Moore is one of them from Nigeria. And then there was another brother who did some iron work. But upstairs, you have clothing. In this particular time, there was so much clothing that I think people had a field day with finding things of clothing. This is one of the shirts that I got. This is a piece from a sister called Kathy, and Kathy does a sort of a splash technique on the fabric that she creates, and then she creates blouses and shirts, different wearable pants. I'm actually having her make a pair of pants for me, and I hope to have a little clip of her either on our Facebook page, or I'm going to show it on the next show that we have, because I couldn't get it together today to be able to show it, but I would have liked to have shown you a little clip of Kathy's work. And we will have her on the show, as we will also have some of the other artists that were at the show. Brother Shaka from upstate California had his work there. He does leather work, and then he has a store and imports a lot of things from Africa. So he's one of the artists that we also found, and also I'd like to thank Ruby King for coming out, and Ruby and one of her friends that also view the show, that we found out that she makes dolls, and the dolls were just magnificent. So we hope to have her on the show and be able to have her show some of her dolls, because her dolls are like little children. I mean, they stand like 4 feet tall or 3 feet tall. So they were really pretty interesting, and I hope to have her on the show. And some of the other artists, like I said, quite a few and a majority of the artists were all fashion directed, or they brought in another product. A lot of different hat people, a lot of different Soap Man was there, and we're going to even have him on the show because he produces a line of soaps and shea butters. And also the brother is a farmer that, and he sells watermelons and things like that up and down the East Coast. So we intend to even have him on one of our shows and talking about his particular products and his line. Okay, so getting back to the show, like I said, it was a great. Some good things happened, like, and I said that also I got to meet a couple of artists from my hometown while I was there, because the guy next to me knew that I was from Alexandria, and he knew these people were from Alexandria. And so I got to meet an artist who was a little bit older than me, but had, gone through discrimination while he was here in Louisiana, and ended up in California. So he's up in Los Angeles, and he did artwork, and now he's doing his own artwork. And one of the things that he does art with is resin. And so I have a project that I'm also trying to do art-wise that involve resin. So it was very interesting to get a chance to talk to him and, talk about home and all of those kinds of things. So, and my host that hosted me cooked dinner for me, went out to dinner with us. Ella and I and Tite and Fern all went to dinner at a place called The District, and the food was just amazing. I mean, the food was really, really great. The crowd was really loud. It ended up being somewhat of a sports bar. We didn't know that. It was, people were having birthday parties, but the food was really, really fantastic. It really was good, and I really enjoyed that. So if you're ever in LA and you get a chance to be in that particular area, I think they have a couple of different places around the city. One of the places that I really miss going to and really having food from was Simply Wholesome, which is sort of a vegetarian place that's over across Overhill. But like I say, the show is from, the mall hours this time was from 10 o'clock until 9, Monday through Saturday. And then on Sunday, it was from 11 to 7. So you don't get a whole lot of time to plan an evening to do something, because you spend that much time in the mall. So hopefully, with all what's going on with that mall and how they're changing it and doing everything with it, I should hope, and I will hope, that the producers, if they continue to use that venue to show the films that they show and do the art festival, I hope it's only a 4-day show. I go to all the major cities just about in the country. I mean, I do a show in New York, I do a show in Chicago, I do a show in Detroit, I go to Atlanta, I do New Orleans, and doing those shows, they are usually a weekend show. It's usually a weekend thing. You do a weekend. When you do a weekend, you get to really if you have a good product, you get to make some money. You get to sell your product. You get to get your product out there because you get your people are there, and the people that are interested in your kind of product and your thing are also there. So it's a great opportunity for you to be able to, sell your product, and I like that. You know what I mean? Those 3 days, those 4 day shows where everybody is there, and you get a sense of that community. Like I love going to Brooklyn. I've been going to Brooklyn since I started doing ear spears in 1995. It almost brings a tear to my eye because the people are. It's an amazing show. I mean, and the amazing part of it is not the show itself; it's the people. It's the Brooklynites. It's the people that come out to purchase ear spears, to purchase African art, jewelry, they to adorn themselves or to adorn their house. You know what I mean? It's my, like I said, I love going to the Brooklyn Academy of Music show, which is also called BAM. So I love going to that particular show. And it's my favorite show. And it's not because, I make money there. It's really my favorite because the people that I get to get involved with or get to interact with and see, I love it because you didn't see you see very little straight hair, like even during the days in the 90s when there were still people that processed their hair, you could never find that in Brooklyn. You know what I mean? People were always as natural as they possibly could be, and what I find in California is that the people sort of overkill, the ones that are into culture, they're like, they have everything, the ones that, they dress the whole nine from head to toe, in African garb, African jewelry, African art, so that part, let me just say, I really like and enjoy. Okay. So that was sort of my adventure in LA. My adventure going to LA turned out to be an adventure. I drove all the way to Texas to Fort Worth, and my engine light came on. So I turned around and came back home because I didn't know why my engine light was on, and I was afraid to be caught out in the middle of the desert somewhere where I wouldn't have my car with all my gear that I'd have to deal with. So I actually turned around and came back home and actually got some advice from the mechanic and saw everybody that I could. So I lost 2 days that I would have spent at the gym show, at the Tucson gym show, which is also a part of my particular plan. So I got back on the road, and I just want to say to my friend Robin that now I know I'm really aware of where Midland, Texas is, and it's not sort of Midland; it's really way to the east, but that's very interesting what's going on in her particular area. All I could see was, I mean, the oil fields are like, they must be pouring oil out of east. What is that? That's West Texas. Yeah, out of West Texas, because they're just building hotels and places for guys to live. They build these, I mean, amazing buildings that they just construct out of nowhere. And so it looks like little cities in places that you wouldn't even imagine. And especially where Robin is in Midland, I mean, there were just like so many things happening. So I imagine there's quite a bit of of things that are going on there. And I did run into a couple of brothers who were driving those big rigs or those big oil tanker trucks that you have out there. So I know there are quite a few of us that are out there in the oil fields doing that kind of work. So eventually I got to Tucson, and a little bit of my experience going to Tucson is that I'm going to tell you this story anyway. I probably shouldn't be telling you, but I put my debit card in the gas pump in Texas right at the border of Texas and New Mexico. And I left my debit card in the gas meter. And I found that out when I got to Tucson, and I was trying to purchase some lapis. The guy had this beautiful blue piece of lapis. It was the bluest blue I'd ever seen in terms of a piece of lapis. So I was like, I was going to purchase it, but I didn't have any cash, and he wanted some cash. So I had to use my debit card to go to the ATM to get some cash. And when I went to go looking for my debit card, I didn't have my debit card. And I was like, the hell? Well, maybe I left it in the car. So I went back to my car, I searched my car, I turned my bag up and down, and I didn't have my debit card. So I immediately called my bank and told my bank that I probably had left my debit card in the gas pump, because the gas pump was really a little bit unusual, because it requested that I leave my card in, as opposed to just putting my card in and taking my card back out, which is usually what happens when I go to the gas pump. But this particular one said, leave it in, and then my mind just went somewhere else and pouring the gas. And so anyway, I left the card in there. I called my bank and I had to restrict my card. So, but that kind of left me with not too much cash, although I have another account that's under Bamboozle. That's a business account that I had some cash in. And so I would use some of that cash and use that to purchase a couple of more rocks and stones. But by that time, I didn't feel good about anything. So I just really wanted to leave Tucson. So, but before I left Tucson, I did go over to the African village, which is put up they do an African village at the gym show. And these are Africans from all over the United States, and they come together, and you can go to each one of them's big tent and see what it is that they have in order to sell, because they bring a lot of African goods they're all traders, so at least the majority of them. I was surprised. I walked around the corner and that was IZ. And if you guys remember, IZ is a sort of a clothier. So he had his clothing out there, and I was really surprised, because it's very much outside, and it was very dusty in Tucson, Arizona. So if you ever want to do the show in Tucson, Arizona, during the gym show, I advise you, if you're selling clothes or anything that you don't want to get dusty, I advise you to go inside to find one of the venues that's really indoors, so that you can set up your work indoors. It's a great show if you like gyms, or you like stones or minerals. All of those things are really there. And you have, I would have liked to have spent the days that I really had planned to be there. And, but I managed to get a couple of things and go on to Quartzsite, and then on to LA. Quartzsite is another location that you have a lot of gems and stones. And so I actually was able to spend the night very near Quartzsite, and then go into Quartzsite the next morning and find a couple of slabs of some different things. I was looking for Sonora Sunrise as a rock, and a guy had it, so I was able to get that. But okay, so then I finally made it to LA, and As I said, Fern hosted me, and she was a wonderful host. Uh, she made it very easy for me to go into her home and find everything that I need. Everything was just exceptional. Like I said, thank you very much, Fern, for everything that you did for me. On my way back home, since this was a driving trip, um, I decided I was going to go to San Diego because I normally order my bamboo from San Diego, but I've never ever seen these people before. And sometimes when I order the bamboo, what I order doesn't really come to what it is that I particularly want in order to be able to work with the bamboo. So I have a specific piece that I particularly needed. And so I was going to make sure that I drive to San Diego so that I could see these people and talk to them or find the pieces that I want. But I got there, they showed me a lot of bamboo, and none of the bamboo that they had was the bamboo that I particularly wanted to make the bracelets that I made. But at least now I know them, they know me, and they know what it is that I want. And so when they get what it is that I want, they'll let me know, and then I can buy some pieces enough to hold me over, because it doesn't take that much for me to be able to do what I want to do. I could use 50 to 100 slats of 2 by 8 pieces of bamboo. But anyway, so I stopped there and I talked to them, and then I decided to, so I was in San Diego. I got to see the Pacific Ocean. That was marvelous. I loved that. It's kind of weird to go all the way to Los Angeles and you're in LA and you never see the Pacific Ocean, and it's right there. So I made sure that on my way down to San Diego that I would at least get down and see the Pacific Ocean. So I had an opportunity to see the Pacific Ocean. And then I started, after the bamboo thing, I started going east. And that was the most harrowing adventure I've ever had in my life, because I think within the next probably 50 miles, the elevation had gone from sea level to 1,000 feet. And so then I noticed the fact that there were some mountains in front of me that I probably was going to have to go through. And I didn't expect that, because usually, like, you know, when you go from Phoenix into Los Angeles, you go up to an elevation of maybe 2,000 feet or something like that across one of the passes, and that's probably about as high as you go. But if you leave San Diego going east, you have to go over the mountain range that's a part of the, I guess it's the San Bernardino Mountains. But anyway, I think I'm pretty sure that I was above 4,000 feet high. And I just watched 14 Peaks not too long ago, and the guy had a, you know, where he climbs the mountains that are only 8,000 feet high, and you get that experience of, you know, knowing what it's like to go that high. So I was traveling up, and I got up to like over 4,000 feet high. And when you get up there, the first thing they tell you is to check your brakes, and you better check your brakes, because it's like you get thrown off the mountain. You know, you just go straight almost down. There are some quick turns and moves around like that, but you're going almost straight down off the mountain into the desert, because once you actually make it down, and the wind was blowing so strong, as you guys know, the weather was changing. Even LA right now is still getting blizzards, so that was one of the reasons why I decided to depart real quick anyway. But the wind was really blowing really hard, and I own a Jeep, and it seemed like the wind was just going to blow my Jeep hood right on off of my Jeep. I was expecting that to happen at any moment, because the wind was just that strong. But when I got down at the end of the mountain, I mean, down at the bottom there, you're sort of like on the desert bed, yeah, because there were sand dunes, and it was really nice once you got down in the mountain. But it's really like you, as if you just fall off that mountain going down. So anyway, I went on to Tucson, and then the next day was spent the night in Tucson, and then I tried to find some more rocks that day, and I wasn't able to find any rocks that particular day. So I went on, and then the wind was blowing really strong, and there were dust storms all the way from Tucson, Arizona, down to El Paso. And once I got down to El Paso, I was really happy because I knew that from that point on, I would be going east. And I just got there so late in the evening that I wasn't able to make plans I wanted to either go see my friend Floyd or go meet Robin in Midland. But there were a couple of accidents on my way trying to get from El Paso to Midland, that I ended up not getting to Midland till it was almost 9 o'clock at night. And so I didn't bother to call Robin and meet with her or anything. So I just drove on and kept on driving until I drove and got home yesterday. So that's kind of a little bit about my trip and what was going on and what's been happening. Oh, let me say a couple of other things, but that was a trip. Ella's going away. She won't be back until a week after next. Monday is her birthday, so let's wish Ella a happy birthday while she's in England. She's also going over for bereavement with her dad. Dad passed, so that's the reason why she's away. But I also want to give a shout out to Brother Pancho, who's ill and has been in the hospital. He called me in LA probably at 6:30 in the morning to talk to me on the phone. The time difference from Baltimore to Los Angeles is really incredible. So I did talk to Pancho while he was getting ready to go do a procedure, and he's okay. So, and he's going to be okay. So I do want to give a special, get well. Hope to see you real soon, brother. Be doing your show and be doing your thing. All right. Also, I forgot to tell you guys the last time that we were on about Brother Foots. You guys, some of you know him as Dr. Foots, and Dr. Foots' real name is John Booth, and he's one of a few of the jewelers that have been around doing the jewelry since the early 70s. I would think late 60s, early 70s. When Brother Foots and Sekou and Floyd and Shaka and Sika and just a lot of these jewelers that started doing cultural jewelry. And Brother Foots is one of them. He has a booth every year at New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. He's originally from Philadelphia. He's lived in Los Angeles, New Orleans, and now he's back in Philly. So Dr. Foots had a stroke, and so he's sort of recovering. There is a GoFundMe page that you might want to reach out to if you know Dr. Foots, and you can go to his GoFundMe page. I think it is under Dr. Foots, but it might be under John Booth, and that's at GoFundMe, and you can give a donation because we're trying to make sure that Dr. Foots kind of recovers and be able to make jewelry again. I also, Brother Cahill gave me a call while I was away. Kahil is also a jeweler out in Los Angeles, and he's interested, and he's going to put together a book of the jewelers of that particular period and some of the jewelers that are still around right now. We really need to get some pictures of their work and get some bios about those particular people. So uh, I'm really hopeful that we're able to, or that he's able to put together this book about jewelers from this particular time period. Okay, um, you know, Sarji Fu, and all those people that have been around for some particular time. Okay, so I look forward to that. All right, now, so let me hear from somebody. I see we have quite a few people in the house right now, so I've been doing all the talking. So if you got any kind of like questions for me or want to say anything, I probably talked a little bit more than I'm used to. And also want to say I miss Mardi Gras, and I really I'm not happy about that. So next year maybe I'll get the chance to make Mardi Gras, and I know that there were some interesting things. Brother Shaka had an interesting suit. I know Minhati didn't get a chance to put her suit together. She's working on her suit, so hope to see Sister Manhati in her suit. Uh, Probably be on the, I can't remember the Sunday now. Okay, but Easter Sunday. All right. All right. So do I see any comments, or I don't get any comments? Maybe I'm not. Do I have my comments up there, Zeke? Where are my comments? Okay. Oh, yeah, Diva. I'm glad, thank you. I'm glad that I did make it home safely. Um, we had hoped that we would see you. Ella and I were thinking, because there were some people that did come down from the Bay Area and came down to the show, and so we were hoping we'd probably see you also. So maybe the next time. And like I say, maybe the next time it'll be a better show and a shorter show with more people from that particular area. Like I said, I know that there's culture in California because, like I said, I mean, they had Black Panther Party. I watched when the police burned down the house in L.A. looking for Patty Hearst, and so I remember those days back in the day, and Ron Karinga coming along with Kwanzaa, and um, there was some interesting. A brother did turn me on to a Kwanzaa calendar where the Sankofa scrolls were turned upside down, because he says it's somewhat new school, and he was trying to point out to me that for Africans they were up and everything else was down, so it's a little heavy conversation that I kind of like listen to, but we'll check it out. All right, so I don't see my comments. If Let me try one more time to bring up my comments. Okay, there we go. I finally see them. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now that I can see some of these comments, I'm going to go back up to the top. All right. Is echo. Let me go back farther. Bear with me for 1 second, guys. I am okay. I've started out, and I see that Robin came on, Tite came on, and great to have you on. She experienced the show. I hope she had a great experience at the show. It was really nice to see someone wearing her jewelry. That was really, really nice, and I I complimented her on the look that the lady had with her jewelry on. I see Atiba from Ohio. Thank you for your wishes, and T from Chicago. I'm glad to see you on the show this afternoon. I see Robin's back on there. Is Echo Tucson great this year? I don't know what Echo is in Tucson. If that's a part of the gem show, then I don't know, because I only know of the jog show, and then I know I go to a big stadium where all the rocks are, and then I go to African Village. I go to a couple of the hotels looking for different stones and for cabochons. So I really try to, I wish I could have gone that way too, but I would have been there at 12 or 1 o'clock at night. So I didn't get a chance to do that. I'm not happy about. I wish I could have spent a little bit more time away. I had to get back here. So I am back here. I made it back home safely. Everything is going to be, A-okay. I tried to go get me a massage today because that was really what I needed for the moment. I've gotten a little bit of rest. The bags have gone probably a little bit from up under my eye. So the next day or two, I will go and lay on the massage table, get my body back into shape and get ready. Tite, did you have a great show in LA? Are you still there? I guess maybe she's gone, but I hope she had a great show in LA. She participated in the show. She was next to Ella, and so I was on that side with those guys this particular time. I'm usually not over there. All right. Let's see if there's anything else that. Ooh, hosting a BAM in Sacramento. That's a great thing. That's a great thought. I did bring some interesting stones back from Tucson, so I will be, and I'm going to do some interesting things in pretty near future here. But so. And I think it's an enlightening event to, like I said, to go to Tucson, because you see so much, and you get to have a vision of where these stones come from, and the Africans that come there that bring their stones from Namibia and other places, they don't, I don't think they're treated very well myself. Most of them are not given the best locations in terms of them selling their goods, but I was able to find a couple of brothers who were selling some stones from Namibia, and I bought some of the stones from them. So I just have to decide how to shape these stones and do what I'm going to do with these rocks that I acquired. Okay. All right, everybody. All right, so we're gonna bring some of the new artists, like I said, and I want to say hello to Radiant Sunshine, to her and her mom out in Dallas, Yeah, and next time I'm that way, I will let you know. Um, this time my trip was like I said, it just started out wrong, and it was an experience the whole way. So, but maybe next time if I decide to go out that way again, and I hope I do, because like I said, it was a nice experience in meeting some of the people that I met, and for people getting a chance to get my ear spears again, because they've been buying ear spears from me from the late 90s when I started going out there, or mid 90s, whenever that was. Okay. All right, everybody. So I think I've made it through this evening show. I hope to have a guest, or at least someone host with me next week. And I will have some jewelry that I will possibly be showing. But if you need to see any of my jewelry, please go to bamboozlejewelry.com. And that's my website, www.bamboozlejewelry.com, or you can reach us at blackartistmarketplace.com. And don't forget lipshats.com. For Ellis Hats, you can still purchase her hats, and it's getting to be springtime. Um, if you live in the South, it's like summertime. We went from winter to summer. I've been gone the whole month of February, so it takes me the whole month just to go and do that show and come back. So I missed. But when I got back, I have the plum trees have nice little leaves on them, and my Japanese plum tree has beautiful buds on it. So it's going to be a great springtime already in February, or at the end of February. So I'm looking forward to getting my work ready for this particular summer. And I hope to see all you guys somewhere. It was nice to see Ruby King out in LA too. And again, Fern, thank you most kindly for hosting me. I really do appreciate it. And with that, I'm going to say good night and much love to all of you. Thank you so much.